Welcome to the Color of Influence podcast, where you will hear conversations from influential people of color from around the world, from social media, and right here in your communities. These behind the scenes conversations will motivate you, inspire you, and encourage you. I am your host, Aisha Morgan, and let's meet today's guest. Welcome back to the podcast, y'all. So, today's episode is going to be interesting, but before I get into it, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to our channel, like, and comment. If you are listening on all streaming platforms, subscribe, follow, like, share, comment, rate us, give us that 5-star rating. And share the podcast. Follow us on all social media platforms at The Color of Influence. Now, here's our episode. All right, guys, welcome back to the podcast. So, first of all, happy Black History Month. It is February 1st, the first day of Black History Month. And originally, I was going to highlight all of my Black-owned businesses that I've had on the podcast. And so I started going through their episodes, making notes of each one of them, updates, everything. I was ready to go. And then I changed my mind. I decided that instead, I am going to manifest my next group of guests. So what I did was I wrote down, I have a very long list of people that I would like to have on the podcast, but I took some of those names and compiled a list of people who I want on the podcast. And so today I am going to talk to you guys about this list, about my list. Tell you why I want them on the podcast. And if you have contacts, you know somebody who knows somebody who may be able to get these people on the podcast, I would love it beyond measure. I would really love it. So let's just get right into this list, which, like I said, it's a lot longer than this, but I figured I would just give y'all a glimpse into the type of people that I try to get on the podcast to shed some light on what they're doing in the world. All right, so first up, Chef Babette. I don't know if you guys have ever seen her on social media, someone reposted a video of her. She is a 72-year-old vegan. Yes, vegan, who is a fitness enthusiast. She is a co-owner of a restaurant called Stuff I Eat, and then also Love Your Age. She's a co-founder of that as well. Why would I like to have her on the podcast? Because I think it'll be interesting to hear her story. How did she get to where she is right now? 72-year-old, looking better than most people who are in their 20s. Body is banging, just living life, loving life. And I would just love to have her come on and share her story of how she got to where she is today. So next up is Kelly Kilo and Crush Foster. I think that's how you say her last name or her Instagram name. They own a company that centers around the alkaline lifestyle and Dr. Sebi's food list and herb list as well. And they have cookbooks. They have hair care products. I know her hair care products, goodness, I can't talk, are called Crown of Brooklyn. They also have the Alkaline Beyond Vegan. They have cookbooks, they have herbs, they have food that they sell. So I have purchased When I was in New York, I purchased some of their um like trail mix, I guess you could say. And I also have some of their herbs. Very good line of products. I've been following them for quite some time and just recently purchased their products about a year ago, maybe more than a year, probably more than a year. And I would love to have them on to share their story. Crush Foster is the chef of the two and does share recipes on social media. His name on Instagram is Crush Foster, so it's not that hard to find him. And then Kelly Kelo is her Instagram name, and it's just KELLYKEELO. I would love to have them both or one on. I know Kelly has used the lifestyle to combat some illnesses that she's had, so I would love for her to come on and share about that. And then we have Coach Jesse Thompson. You guys have probably heard me talk about the Detox Now line of herbs that I've used um, to combat my fibroids, but she uses a holistic approach. I met Dr. Not, I'm sorry, Coach Jesse years ago at my church for this women's conference. She was there on a panel speaking about fighting fibroids and how important your diet is, how important it is to have certain herbs in your diet, foods to avoid. So again, I've been following her for years, and I would love for her to come on and just talk about how she got to this point. She also has some medical things that are going on that she has um, helped that have helped her create this line of the Detox Now herbs and just a holistic approach altogether. Um, and so I would love for her to come on and discuss that. Then we have Tyson's Conscious Kitchen. And when I first discovered Dr. Sebi, um, Tyson's Conscious Kitchen was one of the first people that I found that had recipes that went along with Dr. Sebi's line of his food list. And so it has been a long time, but Tyson is continuing to create different recipes, cookbooks. He has several cookbooks. So I would love for him to come on and talk about that. And then we have Sebastian Thiel. I think that's how you say his last name, Thiel. He's actually a film director, which I just found that out recently. And I'm not even going to talk about the films that he has been a part of or shows. Just in case I have the opportunity to have him on, I would like him to share that with y'all. But how did I discover him? From his page, Dope Black Art. Y'all, the stuff that I see on this page is amazing. Like, amazing. And to be honest with you, I see the things on his page. I follow a lot of the artists because of his page, and he has featured them on there. And I would love to have even some of the artists on there if I'm not able to squeeze into his busy schedule and get him on. So that is Sebastian Thiel. I think, again, that's how you say his name. Not the best with names. I know I'm in education and I'm still stumped by some names. Okay. Then we have Kalia Guillory. So here in Houston, we have a place called the Nap Bar. NAPBAR. Nap Bar. And she rolls out the red carpet for people to come in and take naps. She uses like different strategies and a little bit of AI to help create an environment for you to go in and take a nap. And I would love to hear how this became her business. So her name is Kalia Guillory. And yes, really am interested in that story of how that came about. Then we have True Laundry Detergent. I use True and have used it since it came out, I saw it featured on a Black business page before the pandemic, and they have been around for a while. But social media has allowed them to branch out into different cities, and that's how I discovered it. I use True Laundry detergent. I use it for my daughter. I use it for myself, and I would just love to hear their story. Um, I'm just gonna be honest with y'all. I'm not gonna give you a lot of information about them, these guests, because if they come on the show, I really want it to be that you find out all this information from their episode and not from me today. So I'm just giving you a little bit of teaser um and information. So not only can you go check out their Instagram, but you can also tell them they should come on the Color of Influence podcast. Oh, yes. Okay. Next up, Black girls and Trader Joe's. So y'all know I have had Target While Black Marissa, who I shout out as much as I can because I'm super proud of the progress that she has made with her brand. And I've been following Black girls in Trader Joe's for a while. The person who runs the page name is D Davis, and just what it says, y'all. Black girls in Trader Joe's. If you've never been in Trader Joe's, you are definitely robbing yourself of a great experience. I get a lot of snacks from there. I don't shop there as often just because, sometimes my diet changes up and I stick to like eating the same things. I do get food from Trader Joe's. I just don't do a lot of my shopping there. But I would love for her to come on and talk about her experience at Trader Joe's. All right. So next up, Dr. Jacqueline Dow, and she has a fitness line called J Dow Fitness. It was in Target last year or the year before. No, I think it was last year. But she actually has a line that she sells online, and not just in Target. So I would love to talk to her about how she got into Target, and how she created her athletic line, her fitness line. Then we have Lanny Smith. Lanny went to U of H and played basketball after I was there, so I don't know him personally. But he has a brand called Actively Black. You probably have seen it on social media, maybe in interviews with some of his people celebrities who have worn his clothes. But the brand is amazing. It is like an athleisure wear. I have a bag from there. I have shirts. I have shorts. I have tights, pants. Yeah. So again, just would like for him to come on and talk about his journey with Actively Black. Uncle Poochie. So I don't know how I stumbled upon him. It may have been Snoop reposting a video of his. He is a very interesting man. So if you do not follow Uncle Poochie, Poochie, he is probably in his 70s, but he's vegan and he talks about all kind of different things on his page. Not going to give away too much because I do want y'all to go check him out, even if I'm not able to get him on the podcast. But he just seems like a very interesting man, and I would just love to hear his backstory. Okay. Next, Morgan Harper Nichols. If you guys are on YouTube and you see these pictures behind me, they are Morgan Harper Nichols paintings with her poems beside them. I don't know, almost all of the ones that were in Target that I could find. I bought them. Um, because for two reasons. They're beautiful with amazing messages, and also because Morgan is on the autism spectrum and she has ADHD. Um, she also has a podcast that I listen to. Her voice is very calming and her messages are great. So she's an artist, she's a poet, and she's doing all of these things regardless of her disabilities. Okay, so next up is Blake Van Putten, Putten. I think that's how you say his name. He is the owner of Cise, Cise, and it is a handbag brand. Um, I have one of the bags that says "Protect Black Women" on it. Um, he has bags that say "Protect Black People," "Protect Black Women," and when you see a guy create something like that, there's a story. There's an amazing story that has to be heard. And I would love for him to tell that story on the Color of Influence podcast. Okay. As you guys can see, there's a wide range of guests that I would like on the podcast. Um, and I'm still going. Next up, Our Village United, INC. So they're a nonprofit organization that helps small Black-owned businesses. They provide all kind of resources, but again, I don't want to give out too much information, but I would love to have them on the podcast to talk about their nonprofits. Okay, so next up, Reina Noriega. She is a visual artist and an author. She has a line of hair accessories in Walmart, but that's not how I discovered her. I discovered her because she did the cover art for a podcast that's in a podcast group that I'm a part of. And I loved the girl's podcast art cover. And so she put in the group who did her graphics, and it was Reina. And her page is amazing. Her art is amazing. So I would love for her to come on and talk about that. All right. Then we have Hued CO, HUED.co, I think. But the company is called Hued, HUED. They are a company that helps with healthcare disparities in the Black, Latinx, and Indigenous communities. So, being someone who was going through breast cancer treatment, this is how I discovered this company or organization, whatever you want to call it, because someone had talked about resources that they had on their Instagram page. So, again, I would love to have them on to talk about the company. Okay. Jelly Robinson. Now, I discovered her by accident. I don't even want to say by accident. Someone posted about her, and then I discovered her through their post about her. She is a barber, but she cuts individuals' hair who have disabilities. Most of them are on the autism spectrum, and she has a very unique take on cutting their hair. So I think her story would be amazing to hear. And yeah, she's actually in the Houston area. And I had a former guest asked me about her, which is funny, because someone she knew she wanted to recommend her for their podcast as well. So hopefully she has time in her very big busy schedule um, to come on the podcast. All right. Whew. I'm getting closer to the end, y'all. Adara Mazar, Adramizar. And I discovered this brand of handbags because I believe he's the owner, would be showing himself sewing the bags. And I joined their email list. And when the bags drop, he sends an email, but it's limited quantities. And so I'm not sure if he's still doing that, making them on his own, but the bags are beautiful. They're really amazing bags. And again, when you see a man who makes products for women, there's always an interesting story behind it. Excuse me. So I would love to hear about it. Next up, the Soul Cap. So the Soul Cap I heard about from the last Olympics, and it is a swim cap that is made for natural hair, I guess you could say, big hair. And it actually was founded by two men as well. So I would love to have them on the podcast because that in itself is just interesting. Browndages. So we've all seen Band-Aid brand bandages, but Browndages is a Band-Aid. I don't want to say Band-Aid because Band-Aid is the name brand of it, but bandages. So Browndage has bandages that are in skin tones of Black people or people of color. Again, love to hear that story. Houston White is our next one. And if y'all have followed me in the past, I don't know, I'll say 6 months, a lot of stuff that I have worn especially on my Cancer Fighting Mama page, a lot of the stuff that I've worn is Houston White. And he did a collab with Target, so his brand is in Target right now. I consider it to be unisex, but it is in the men's department of Target. If you guys ever see me with that hat that has like the emblem on it, the black hat, that is a Houston White hat. We took our Christmas pictures in a Houston White sweater. I have a sweatsuit. I have like a jogging suit. I just bought a bag today because he now has a spring line out. So he also has some other ventures in Minneapolis that I would love for him to talk about. All right, so Javino McLean, I think that's how you say his name. He is a trainer in Europe somewhere who trains individuals with special needs. He works with those in wheelchairs and who have other disabilities. So love to hear that story of how that came about. Next, Focus Frame Eyewear. So my friend Crystal posted years ago about this company because she got glasses from there. And they are a Black-owned eyewear company. I'm going to leave it at that. Would love to have them on the podcast to hear that story. Daisies and Pancakes is next. I discovered this page from someone who posted the skates that she made for them. She took a pair of Jordan 1s and turned them into roller skates. She has created a skate community in Houston that I can't wait to be a part of. That is one of my goals for the rest of this year, is to get back on my skates. And she actually does classes at Texas Southern. So yeah, I'm excited to like dive into that community again and really become more active. The Mola, I think that's how you say it, Demola. He is a violinist And on Instagram, it's Damola Violinist. That's kind of self-explanatory of what he does. And I just would love to hear how his life started in being a violinist. The Saya Sade, DASIASADE. I also found her on my skate journey during COVID. She was skating and did tutorials, but recently her life has taken some interesting turns, very good, interesting turns, and I would just love to have her on to talk about those things. So the last person on the list I discovered from Ratchet and Respectable. This is actually a friend of hers who has a page called Miss Silver Spoon, and her name is Davita, and she plans trips to Ghana. Again, self-explanatory. I would love to know how that came about, how she started doing that, and where she would like to go with it. So that is just a very long, short list of people that I want on the podcast. I have a very long list of people that I want on the podcast. I don't know if y'all were paying attention to my Instagram last week, but or maybe it was a couple weeks ago. I've been toying around with taking a break from the podcast, and recently, a couple of my guests have really made some strides since recording their episodes, and it made me feel like what I'm doing is useful, and that I am helping get people's name out there. I'm not saying that executives at Target or uh I don't know who listens to my podcast, to be honest with you. There's a lot there's a lot of thought that I have about some things to do with the podcast. I have tried for 6 months, maybe, or more than 6 months, um, using a new platform for my podcast. And I think maybe because I don't have analytics from that page, from that platform, it is a little discouraging for me because I don't know who is listening to the podcast. So, I might have to make some moves. Because when you have analytics, it's it without you guys messaging me, it shows me that y'all are here. Um, Otherwise, I don't know who I'm talking to, and it does make it hard when I am doing solo episodes sometimes because I don't know who I'm talking to. Um, but I feel bad, but I can't feel bad because you know this is something that I would like to grow into other things besides just the podcast. So kind of need those numbers. I need the demographic. I need the information to help move myself forward. I want to do other things with the podcast and branch out. I actually created something that is an extension of the podcast based off of an episode that I had a year ago. I mean, I'm in year two. Um, so, I kind of need those numbers so that I can help promote the podcast, and show people who I need to help me beyond the podcast that y'all are listening. So change is going to come on the back end of the podcast. Um, next week and the week after. This is my birthday month, by the way. By the way, this is the month of my birth. So, y'all will get an episode that for the rest of this month talking about the businesses that have been on the podcast. And I'm not gonna say that I'm taking a break after that, but I may be taking a break after that. And just trying to figure out where I want the podcast to go, what I want to do. Y'all see, I have this laundry list of people that I need to contact that I would like on the podcast. So, all of those things take time. And so I just got to make it happen in my own time, I guess. So, with that being said, thank y'all for rocking with me. Happy first day of Black History Month. Y'all are going to be inundated with lots of information about the Black people from our past and in our present, not just from me, but from everywhere. Target has a great Black History Month section, as always. What else? I got this from Target. It's not a part of their Black History collection, but it is so cute. It's actually a Barbie collab or a Barbie brand. This is my second Barbie shirt, third Barbie shirt that has natural hair women all over the shirt. So if you're on YouTube, you can see it. Obviously, if you are listening to the audio, you cannot. But again, I'm sure there will be other stores that have Black History Month sections. Y'all know Target is where I go. They keep my pockets dry. I have forced myself to stay out of Target the past couple of weeks because I will just buy everything in that Black History section. But until next time, have a great rest of your week. Thank you for rocking with me. Yeah. Peace out. And that's a wrap on another amazing episode. I know that you were just as inspired as I was after listening to that conversation. And to let us know how we're doing, don't forget to leave us a review, like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. You can also follow us on all social media platforms, from YouTube to Facebook, at The Color of Influence, and on Instagram, the_color_of_influence. You can check out all of our episodes and additional content on our website, thecolorofinfluence.com, and that's an N only for influence. And don't forget to share the podcast with someone you know, and have them share the podcast with someone they know. Thank you all for listening. Until next time, peace out.